Hi, everybody. I'm Jim.
And I'm Tracy.
And this is the MultiPass Podcast. All right. Today we want to talk a little bit about independent consultants.
That's us.
That is us.
Wow.
Holy crap. And what it can feel like to be an independent consultant. The analogy that came to mind the other day was that of a tightrope walker. Right? So on one side is the tension of not having a gig. And on the other side is kind of the endorphins of landing your next one. Right?
Or falling on your face.
Falling is always the danger, right?
Right.
I mean, whether you go off either side of,
Yeah.
the gig goes bad or you don't have a gig. Anyway, we digress. But walking a tightrope can actually look like a huge risk, and is, right? Especially if you're an amateur tightrope walker.
And you don't have your safety nets.
Right. Yeah, I think amateur tightrope walkers have the same life expectancy as amateur electricians, right? So it's not a hobby. But yeah, that's what happens is, you build safety nets and support structures. And that's really what we want to talk about today is how this works with what we call the gig
economy.
So what is the gig economy, Tracy?
That's a really good question. I really appreciate you asking. What is the gig
Thank you very much.
economy?
So the gig economy, right, it's working independently. It's not having a permanent place to go, getting a paycheck. It's just the gig economy, and more people are really kind of going into this.
What is your next gig?
Right. There's like 150 million people in North America and Europe who are now doing the gig economy.
150 million and one.
Oh, us. Well, two.
Well,
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I don't have
that
that job. You did.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah. You're right.
So, yes, that's us. So we've been looking at this pretty deeply, obviously, and we're trying to figure out, what makes it work. And we have found that there are 4 cornerstones to making the gig economy, more workable for you. Moving out of amateur tightrope walking to more into professional tightrope walking.
Kind of this pathway or something.
Right. Right. So there's these 4 cornerstones, and they are, in no particular order: place,
routine,
intention,
and
support.
Support.
Yes, exactly. And we thought it might be a good idea to discuss how these strategies work, and maybe, if you're in the gig economy, this might work for you. It might be helpful for you. So that's what we're hoping.
So, place. What do you mean in reference to place? How does that come into play here?
It's actually something that I've always felt because I've worked from home part-time for a long time, even in permanent positions. So place is really important, not just for gig economy, but also if you have a work from home gig in general. So you have to find a place, kind of a designated location where you feel comfortable, right? Starbucks can feel very comfortable, can feel very caffeinated, but it's more than just the nearest Starbucks. It's finding a place where your base is around, and your base is important because you have your tools.
Your toys.
Your toys and tools. Oh, I like that. Toys and tools. Maybe that's our next podcast. We'll do like a kind of a gear podcast.
There you go.
That'd be kind of fun. Toys and tools. Anyway, whatever you work, you need to be able to work efficiently. So I'll share a little bit about how my workspace typically looks. What was the sign?
Well, you have a lot. I mean,
I don't
know. He does a lot of things.
So what I typically do is I have a main screen and a secondary screen. Most people do that. Not that anything I do is outside of the realm. I'm just explaining mine. I usually have an iPad Pro over here.
And then you have that portal thing.
Oh, the portal. Oh my gosh, we have to do a thing on the portal. It is like...
It could go for hours and hours.
It's super cool. We'll talk about it. And there's the portal, and then there's the kind of iPad Pro. That's usually for messaging. But I also have my phone, connect a Bluetooth keyboard to my phone. So if I'm messaging on the phone, I can just kind of type back and get back to what I was doing. So, that's just kind of the cockpit I live in. So artists
have their own cockpit that they live in.
Yeah, you've been in the artist realm, so what does that look like?
Right. Well, it really depends on what type of art we're producing. So
sculpture from granite. Go. Chisels. Lots of chisels.
Oh my God.
Ice swans. Go.
Yeah.
Chainsaw. I think you get the point. Anyway, you have to figure out what that space is. And so, if you're a swan...
And what those tools are that you need.
That's right. If you're an ice swan sculpturer, it's going to be tough to get that chainsaw into Starbucks.
Oh, and it's going to be tough to have that gig here in Arizona.
Yes, you have about 2 seconds to do your carving, and then it's done. So, another reason is personality. So people tend to resonate with their personality of their space, right? So it's really important that you find a space that you feel in tune with. I'll give you another good example from my experience.
Okay.
So worked at a location. People were great. Job was great. Location wasn't great. However, there was kind of a cultural bias toward leaving well enough alone in the space. And I just didn't feel, I always I didn't want to be disrespectful of the workplace because it was actually a great job, but it was kind of like I always said, I went to work at the movie Joe versus the Volcano.
Dungeon-like.
You remember that? Anyway, so that's an example of how your personality doesn't necessarily get reflected in your workspace. And the reason we leave it in there talking about it is because that affects your productivity. That affects how you feel at work. And so how you feel obviously affects your productivity.
And your creativity.
And all that stuff, for sure. It needs to go beyond, I can work there, to that's where I work. That's kind of the point of the place.
That's where I love to work.
Yeah, even better.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the love. I love it.
Well, and our next one then. Moving on.
Next one is
forward.
what? Routine? Routines. Okay. So routines are, everybody benefits. Artists, astronauts, chemophysicists. Moms, the most important job. Moms. Not even kidding.
In the world.
I always joke that, Tracy could probably do my job, but I never do her job. Ever.
I think on those rare occasions when I've gone away for a night or two.
And people live. The small children survive, so it's not that horrible. But yeah, long term, sorry, just not my thing. But anyway, these routines create input. They create productivity into your life, and so whatever you come out with that is deeply affected by those routines.
So your life is really enhanced by a routine.
Well, we have mutual friends who has a routine every morning. They're business partners as well, and they get up, and I won't butcher their routine by trying to repeat it here, but they get up and they go through the same routine in the morning, and it really orients them to the business they need to do for the day. It's beautiful. So routines can be actionable. Routines can also be biochemical and physiological and psychological. Nutrition can be a routine. Exercise can be a routine that I definitely need to get routine into.
I'm excited to be in that exercise routine.
I found a quote.
Yeah? Is it from that French guy?
It's from the French
guy.
I love
that French
guy.
guy.
When I was reading through this quote earlier to Tracy, she cringed. So hopefully your reaction is not going to be as cringeworthy, but I'm going to try. Because when you speak as Flaubert, you have to speak in a French accent. So, be regular and orderly in your life so that you may be violent and original in your work. There you go. There's the Flaubert quote.
Free.
That's a free one. You're not even going to be billed for that.
But it really is a good quote. I mean, it really is.
It is a good quote. So what's
I
next?
like that. Right. I'm sorry. I like that you may be violent.
Yes.
And original in your work.
Yes. Not physically violent. Nobody's advocating physical violence.
Just hit it.
Creatively violent. That's right. Get into it.
Okay, so moving on.
We got into that too much, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, moving on. What's our next one?
Purpose. Purpose is our... What is our purpose?
What is our purpose?
What is our purpose?
Our purpose is actually pretty clear, but frankly, it's a little big. So we mentioned this yesterday, we have this cockamamie plan to be able to have the skills and resources in place to be able to support whatever is going on in that work-life balance for that person. So do you need somebody who's served in the financial industry for 25 years doing sales enablement, client experience, and event production?
Who could that be?
Or do you need something smaller? So, and that's the thing, is we want to be able to support whatever that is. So whether it's analysis, whether it's business management, whether it's support in an event, big or small.
Right.
So we want to be able to approach that.
Because we know the people.
That's right. That's right. So if it's not us, and this is really where this goes. I mean, we can corral the technical people. You know, if you're looking to put on a, you know, Olympic-sized stadium, star-studded, pink, and Lady Gaga are going to be there.
We know someone.
We know someone, but those some people are not us as people. We know somebody. If you need to fill out grants, can't fill out a grant with a gun to my head, but
we know someone.
we know people. So we really don't advocate the client trying to assess what they necessarily need in that level of detail, but contact people you trust. You know, we hope to be able to earn that trust with clients we come into contact with, and then we can hook them up with the right resources if the right resources are not us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a
Okay.
lot of sense.
Sometimes they don't make sense.
But no, it's true.
It's important.
It's true.
What do you mean it's true? Anyway. So ultimately we want to be able to do that with people. And, you know, here's the thing. You want to be able to articulate what you do, right? So when you're going in and creating this level of trust and what you do for people, how do you articulate that? And I don't love this following word, mission statement.
I like mission statement.
You do like mission.
I do.
Well, we're going to talk about why you could or could not like mission statement. I don't like mission statement because I think the jargon and the structure sometimes gets in the way, right? Of being able to just say what you do. Now that can turn into a mission statement, but I've seen a number of times where people lay out what they want to do, and then they frame it, you know, and the framing kind of sterilizes it to some degree. So I like people laying out their purpose very clearly. I'm not a giant fan of mission statements. That is my side of the debate. Tracy, go!
Well, you see, Jim, I think mission statements are a real benefit when it comes to a business because you are stating what it is that you would like to see happen, how you would like your business to go, and then you have all these other subcategories that are happening within that mission statement. So it's just a different way of looking at it, but it kind of gives you this lineup of how things
I like it.
should be.
I like it. So whether you like mission statements or whether you don't like mission statements, we're the people for you. Anyway, just kidding. So look, you know, it's really about purpose. And do you remember Ghostbusters?
I do remember.
We love, our kids actually
Oh my
love
gosh, our
Ghostbusters.
daughters loved.
The original one, right? And that's the one we've been watching forever and ever and ever. So there's that scene where crossing the streams is bad, but in that scene where they do cross the streams, it's actually
But he said,
remarkably
don't cross
good.
the street.
Because it'll obliterate what? Reality?
Right, except-
But it didn't. It just obliterated the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
The poor big stick pup.
He was cute, but deadly. But anyway, crossing the streams of purpose is really about, you know, one of the streams is personal interest, right? And then one of the streams is meaningful action in the world. And so when those two things, now you can love something, but there's no need, or you can't find people who need that in the world, and your streams will miss, right? So you need to find your passionate purpose through personal interest and things that need doing. And once you do that, you know,
You're unstoppable.
by all intents and purposes, you are unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Absolutely. You know, there's people making money, just making money. Maybe that's your purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if your goal is to make money, you're extremely valuable because you're willing and able and develop skills that people need that make money.
Money is helpful.
Right. So, and that's not a bad thing, but sometimes I feel a lot of people move away from that into what can I do to make meaningful change in the world.
Right.
A lot of people do that. And so now we need to figure out a way, okay, well, I also need to be able to make money while I do that, or, you know, so those two things kind of combine. I think that's where a lot of people go. I think that's where we've gone a lot of times.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Is figuring out how to make, okay, how do I put good into the world, and how do we continue to, you know, make the money doing it?
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people eventually end up there. If that's not you, that's great. Just understand what that purpose is. It's really, really important. You're very clear on that purpose. What else?
People who need people.
Our final thing is people. And People who need people.
People who need people.
Thank you, Jim.
Sorry. You should live with this.
How
It's
about
worse.
let's try
It's
another.
worse
Let's try another.
living
How
with
about
this.
humans? Humans that need humans.
Humans who need
Of course.
humans. Yeah, our kids are doomed. Sorry. But anyway, yeah. I mean, study after study shows whether it's introvert, extrovert, extrovert, doesn't matter. You know, you need people around you. And what do you need people for? What are some reasons you need people?
To
Mentors?
balance things or off, kind of put things on and
Soundboards?
off. Thank you. That's the word. Soundboarding for each other.
Peers?
Peers.
All kinds of stuff. You know, I will tell you, this is true. I don't know if it's a strength or a weakness. I find I'm much more articulate. If you could imagine between all the stuttering and stammering, more articulate, but it's true. I'm more articulate when I have an audience that I know what they're looking for, and you can speak directly to that.
Oh,
audience.
you for sure are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
What does that mean?
fairly
What does that
articulate
mean?
now.
Anyway, so you need to know exactly what those elements are in your life. Do you need a lot of people? Do you not need very many people? But definitely there is a structure that needs to be around you. It's a support structure.
For sure. I
Right?
think everyone needs a support structure.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like a work support structure, like we talked about WeWork.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Right.
And
The WeWork is through
well, it's just that's the company, but you can go and kind of meet and be with people who
With
are also
people.
doing
Working.
gig economy things. Or there's sometimes these network events. I've been invited to a number of network events. Some of them are monetized. I don't want to use that word negatively, but somebody says, "Hey, can you come by? Bring $20 when you do." So that's okay.
I don't think I've ever been to networking that was required $20.
Well,
Maybe I have.
There's
Yeah.
supporting. It's like bring your own beer to the party, right? They're like bring potluck to the party, whatever it is. It's just supporting the structure, and that's okay.
But networking is so good. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And then there's other stuff that doesn't require money, obviously, but it's got to be funded somehow, some way. So I certainly don't hold a grudge against somebody who says bring $20. I'll bring $20, absolutely.
But the one thing I think is what you're saying is that you don't want to be isolated
Right,
in this whole endeavor, this whole gig economy that you are
right.
joining.
Because isolation is lonely.
Yes.
Isolation. So what does isolation do? Well, it erodes confidence, passion. All of these things
Creativity.
kind of come down in an isolated space. But keep in mind that's not necessarily a velocity of social contact. Some people need very little,
That's true.
right?
Depending on
But-
your field.
Yeah, you just have to kind of figure out what that is for you. I think the important thing is that if you start to feel lonely and isolated, then you need to take action.
Starbucks.
Starbucks is a good place to start. Absolutely. So in some cases, it's just like the friends and family plan, right?
The friends and family plan. That's what we have.
We have the friends and family plan. Well, we hope we do. We think we do. We know we do. Hey, I will tell you one thing about the family plan. So I am really excited to be able to work with my wife, Tracy, during this time because we've been obviously supporting each other, but in different endeavors a lot of times.
Right.
But now, and we've talked about this, and it is kind of mind-blowing for us too, that we're doing this together, right? And it's,
Do you like that?
I loved it. It's so much better when you do it. What is that? I don't know. Most things are better when you do it, I think. But yeah, it's working together to create this model, this big old model where we want to be able to impact your life wherever we can. And it doesn't have to be too big, and it doesn't have to be too small. It can be anywhere in there. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Together we're stronger.
Absolutely. So we want to work, we want most of this work to happen by helping people move forward. And how do you move forward in that? Is LinkedIn a thing, for example? LinkedIn or Facebook or just the internet lottery? There's
To win the internet lottery.
to win any lottery would be
Right.
fantastic. But so Simon Sinek, I've talked about this before.
Right.
He often claims he won the internet lottery. Very smart guy, did a TED Talk, but his TED Talk exploded where 1 billion other TED Talks did not. So he won the lottery.
That's insane.
And he's very foundational to a lot of my thinking around business modeling and sales enablement modeling. But he's fascinating guy. But he says that he just won the internet lottery, and so sometimes that happens. Usually, you get your support system to trust you and bring you into things that they need help with. That doesn't necessarily always happen on LinkedIn, doesn't necessarily happen on these big things. So why do social media at all? Why even go out there at all? Tracy, why go out and do social media at all?
That's just where we are now.
Exactly. So you need to do all of these different things to make sure that your message is heard. And it's kind of funny. So I co-authored a sales consultative model for a large financial institution. And a lot of people around that model were very protective of it.
Right.
And they were like, oh, if you go into a workshop, make sure you don't share too much. Don't tell people too many of the steps. And I was just kind of smile, sometimes chuckle, because, hey, look, it took years to get people to adopt it. So I don't think 20 minutes in a workshop is going to give the competition what they need to go outside and build what you have. So knowledge is the one thing that you can absolutely share freely. I really believe that. And execution is where you need people who have done it, people who know how to do it, people who know how to communicate it. And that's the important part. So, share your...
That's what we're all about.
Yeah, share the knowledge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if it triggers something with you that aligns with your values and your experience, and you can take that out there and do something with that, then that's wonderful.
For sure.
That's what we're all about.
That is.
So, anyway, we want to know what you think about this stuff. Let us know your comments. Let us know your thoughts. If you have anything that you want to share or violently disagree with.
Or if you want to be on our show.
Or speaking of being on our show.
Podcast.
Speaking of.
Thingy.
We are excited for tomorrow.
Because tomorrow we have our what?
Our first real live guest.
No way!
You're fine. Our first real life guest is Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China. No, that's not true at all. His name is Jack Byrnes, though. Our real guest is named Jack Byrnes.
Is he Don Knotts, who replaced Don Knotts?
Oh, that actor who replaced Don Knotts in the Andy Griffith
Griffith
Show? No, obviously we had to look that up, and now you can too. Because I know, oh man, how many people... Let us know if you even know what the Andy Griffith Show is. That would be really fascinating, actually, to hear that. But no, Jack Byrnes is our kick-ass real estate guy who not only helped us buy our last house, but is currently helping us sell this house.
Right. Here in Gilbert, Arizona, because we are selling our house here in Gilbert, Arizona, because we are moving back to
Utah,
our home.
Yeah, Salt Lake City. So we spent the last 6 months here with a gig that was here actually, and now we're going back to Utah. So we're going to be opening up and doing a lot of different business endeavors. Hustle consulting, one of them. Business management, another one. Most of our base of operations will be in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Exactly.
So we're very excited about that. But we're more excited about Jack. Jack, he came to mind because he said to me one day, we were talking in the kitchen, and he said, my job is like, I wake up every morning and I realize I don't have a job, and I got to go out and make money. I thought that was really funny and very enlightening. So that's tomorrow. So, hey, I hope today was worth your time. I hope...
it was worth ours.
It was definitely worth our time.
Sure.
We love doing this, actually. So if we just do it because we do it, that's what we're doing. But yeah, send us some comments. Let us know what you think. You can personal message us, or you can just call us. Many of you have our number. If not, go to our website, hustleconsult.com. You can certainly feel free to bring us up in any which way there. So I'm Jim.
And I'm Tracy.
And this is the MultiPass
Podcast.
That's a wrap.